Oh, hello YouTube. Today on the Naughty Librarian, I'm doing my mid-March wrap-up. So far so good this March. I've had a pretty good first half, and I think it's mainly just because I started using the Libby app instead of Overdrive. I'm gonna get into audiobooks for just a second here, because I'm a big person for audiobooks. I love them. I love reading along while listening along. It's great for me. And I always use Overdrive, but on iOS it only goes up to 2 speed, which is lame, and then I found that Libby goes up to 3 speed, so I have been whizzing through books and I love it. Seriously, that 3 speed is game changing. I am obsessed with it because 2 speed is a normal speaking rate and 3 speed is a normal reading rate for me, so it's perfect. I'm so happy. But regardless of that, I've read some pretty good stuff so far this month. I think only one of them was questionable, so far so good, I think. Let's get into what I've been reading so far this March. First category is historical romance, and I read 2 of them. I read The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes by Eva Lee, and this wasn't officially on my TBR list for the month, but I low-key wanted it to be. and it was. I read it, and I had a very good time with it. We're following Celeste and Kieran. So Celeste, she is the titular good girl. However, she doesn't really choose to be a good girl. It kind of is just thrust upon her. Essentially, her family's kind of nouveau riche, and it's up to her to be their standing in society. It's up to her to fulfill that, and she's well, I have to be prim or proper all the time and I don't want to. So one of those. And then you have Kieran, who is a rake with a capital R, and he, through things that happen, he has to find a respectable wife ASAP or he's cut off, including his brothers. So he's oh shit, I gotta get married. So he's I don't even know any respectable ladies, except I know Celeste because she's my friend's sister. I'll ask her to introduce me to ladies. I got this. What happens from there is kind of you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor situation, where Celeste, she wants to be able to experience something crazy. She wants adventure. She wants to see the nightlife. She wants to kind of be living the rakish lifestyle without actually being a rake, but she just wants to have adventure and fun and not be the good girl. So she's hey, okay, I'll reform your whole this and I'll introduce you to nice ladies, but you're gonna take me out in the town. I want to see some crazy stuff. So hence they start doing that, and they form this really great friendship, and from there it gets sexy results, and I love that. I love friends to lovers. I love it more than enemies to lovers. I just do. I like it. Overall, I had a lot of fun with it. Do I think it's incredible? No, but it's a solid 3.75 stars. I rounded up to 4 because it was fun overall to read, and it was steamy. And the thing with Eva Lee is she's very sex positive, so all of the sex in the book is very consent heavy and just spicy. So it's a good time if you're just reading it for smut. You'll have fun. But overall, it wasn't incredible. I wasn't oh my gosh, I can't put this down. But I thoroughly enjoyed my time reading it. So 3.75 stars. I think it's worth a read. It was pretty fun. I also read Girls Before Earls by Anna Bennett, and this one I was really excited for because I just read something by Anna Bennett for the first time around Christmas. It was a little novella, and I was I want to read some more stuff, and then I found this one, and it's a brand new book, and I was yes. This one is Gabriel and Hazel. So Hazel, she is she's kind of an orphan, but was raised in a finishing school still, and she has grown up with this really great reputation, and that's what she has going for her. And she finally opened up her school for girls in this little coastal town, and that's her life dream, is to be able to have a school where girls can go, especially girls who have nowhere else to go, or other orphans like her. So this is her life goal. Thing is, she needs wealthy patrons, so people will pay money to her so she can keep the school going for the girls who cannot pay money. So she's got to collect some students. Enter Gabriel. He shows up with his teenage ward, and he's please take her. I can't with this. I am no. So she's okay, I'll take her in, but here's the deal. You're gonna pay double, and you have to come visit every other week, because obviously this girl has problems and you're not helping. She's kind of an orphan as well. So, soft spot. And then you have what ensues is kind of, I don't know, I think it's more bickering, maybe a little bit of antagonism to lovers, but it's never really very intense antagonism. So it's a light enemies to lovers romance. And a lot of girl power, girl friendships, and then like cute kids, and then like zany antics. So in the end, I think this one was also probably a 3.75 rounded up to 4. Let's give it a 4. Fuck it. It's a 4-star. Why not? It's a 4-star read. I had a good time with it. I don't think it's like incredible, but like, oh boy, this was a fun time. I think I read it pretty much all in one day too. It's really short, and like I just had a fun romp with it. It was a good time, you know, for vibes. It's just for vibes, really. Next category is badass heroines, and I read 3 of them. I read Not the Witch You Wed by April Asher, and this one I went in just excited for zany paranormal antics. You know what I mean? Like it's good. It's a witch and a werewolf fake dating. Oh my gosh, I love that. Violet, right? She's a witch, however, never really had any magic. She's kind of like a dud of a witch. And then you have Lincoln, right? He is like the alpha werewolf of this pack, right? And like these two, they have history with each other. They run into each other again, sign of a second chance romance type of situation. And like, wouldn't you know, like she starts getting magical powers whenever he's around. There's some shenanigans afoot here. There's like a weird paranormal law in this world where you either have to have a mate or a partner of some kind in order to like lead or something. I'm not sure why these rules are, and that's kind of actually a big part of the book. Is like, why do we have these rules? So I feel like that's left vague on purpose, but they both end up in that situation where they need to find a partner stat, and they're like, hey, I got it, let's fake date, we're gonna help each other out. And then, you know, fake dating turns into they fall in love for real, and I love it. So it's very much kind of zany paranormal antics. There's a lot of characters that are other species of paranormal. There's like a succubus friend, there's other witches, there's other werewolves, and there's like a whole different animal kingdom of shifters here. So it's got potential for a lot of other books coming out in the series with like different paranormal things. So it's got definite like series appeal. And overall, I thought it was pretty fun. I think in the end, I gave it like 3.5 stars. It was pretty solid. I had a good time with it. Is it like outstanding? No, it feels like a debut, and I believe it is a debut. So take that for what it's worth. I feel like there's a little bit of rocky footing every once in a while, but overall, I think the foundation's pretty solid. So I might try something else in the series, depending on who the partners are. Like, I want to know like which 2 people are getting together. And like, I would probably read it, depending on who it is, you know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those. I feel like it has potential going forward. Also, side note, this is the book of the month for my Patreon book club. It was voted by my patrons. We're gonna be talking about it on the 26th, and it is patrons only book club. I'm very excited about it. If you're interested in joining, the links are down below. It's gonna be a good time. I'm very excited. I also read Iron Widow by Sharon J. Zhao, and oh boy, this one, fully worth all of the hype it gets. Oh my gosh, I had heard nothing but amazing things about this, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in with, you know, soft hopes of this actually turning out well. You know, I wanted to be pleasantly surprised rather than disappointed. And oh my gosh, right from the beginning, it is bonkers good. So like, this is my 5-star read out of all of the books I read. I had so much fun with this one. Oh boy, 5 stars, enthusiastically. So this is kind of a sci-fi loose retelling of China's first female emperor. And also it has, you know, giant mecha suits, and kaijus are fighting, and also thruple. What? Yeah, you heard me right. There's a thruple in this. And like, very much from the beginning, I was like, I feel a thruple coming on, and like I held it back. I didn't want to get too invested in there not to be a thruple, but then there was, and I was like, yes! I get really excited for thruples, basically. But overall, we're following this girl, Jatan, and she is fighting for her life, essentially. This world, basically, they have these giant mecha suits, all are like Pacific Rim. and they have to battle these other like creatures with them, and they're like enormous. And every mecha suit has two pilots. One of them is like a male pilot, and the other one is the concubine like pilot. So essentially it's just a female that they stick in there. And the thing is, this process usually kills the girl almost every time. So they're literally just throwing girls to their deaths. And Zaytan's like, no. If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna take this guy with me. She is like fierce and like a little bit like borderline evil, and like I like her. Maybe not evil, but it's morally gray. So she gets like dark at times, but yeah, she's like, if I'm going out, he's coming with me. And wouldn't you know, she actually ends up living and the boy dies. So hence she is an Iron Widow. And she gets paired up with another misfit pilot who is you know, has a bad reputation. They're like, fine, put those two together. And there's a lot of really interesting Chinese cultural details in here. Obviously, it's a very loose retelling because there are giant mechas in here and monsters and stuff. Obviously, it's not real life, but a lot of like Chinese culture and like little things from different time periods are thrown in here as well. So it's really, really cool to see like kind of like some zodiac stuff. There is a lot of talk about like foot binding. So I know body horror is kind of a trigger for people, so just be aware there is talk of foot binding in this, and it's a bit graphic and other things as well. But yeah, it's fully worth all of the hype. I'm obsessed with it. I can't wait for the next book. I need to know what's gonna happen. Like the ending here, like it's a twist, but like it's a twist I feel like has a lot of clues were set throughout the book that like obviously, but still it's like a big dun 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 moment at the end of this. So like I definitely want to get the next book and see what's gonna happen to our lovely little throuple of mecha suit pilots. I love them. So yes, very excited, worth all the hype, 5 stars. I also finally read Kill the Queen by Jennifer Eastep, and this one has been out for like a few years now. It's been on my shelf for a few years, but I finally read it. In the end, I don't know, I think I gave it 3 stars in the end because there's a lot of problems with it, but like I didn't mind them. Does that make sense? Like I recognize the issues in like the storytelling and the plotting and the character development, but like I didn't really care because I was having a good time with it. So we're following Evie, right? And she is kind of the magicless royal, essentially. She's like 18th in line for the throne. She's just doing her thing, trying to have everyone leave her alone. Wouldn't you know, Vasilia, her like the queen's daughter, decides to have a coup because she is a psychopath and kills everybody, but Evie escapes. And so now she's on the run for her life. She's trying to figure out who she can trust, and she ends up taking up with a troop of gladiators. So now she's hanging out with a gladiator troop. She has to like kind of learn the ropes there. And, you know, eventually Vasilia is going to plunge this country into a war just for the fun of it because she's evil. And it's up to, you know, Evie to save the day and, you know, kill the queen, as the title says. And there you go. That's kind of the whole plot here. And that's also kind of where the problems lie, because like there's a lot of characters whose whole reason for doing things is because they're evil. Like, but why are they evil? It's a very weak character motivation to just say, oh, they're just doing it because they're evil. Like, there's a lot of things they could do because they're evil. Like, that's not good character motivation. They need to have a reason why they're doing the things they're doing. And it wasn't gone into. So a lot of the characters are just kind of there doing stuff. I mean, a lot of time was put into Evie over everybody else, so maybe that's why. But when you have like an antagonist like Vasilia and you don't really develop that antagonist and don't do anything besides they're evil and mean and a psychopath, what's the point? So I think that's the biggest problem here, is that things weren't developed, and it's just made to be fun. It's like a fantasy world. There's magic, there's gladiators, there's like sexual tension. No smut in this one, but there's potential for it. So who knows? But yeah, it's fun, but like obviously has problems. It's just gonna be up to you how much they bother you in the end. But so that's why I gave it 3 stars. It's good, but like there's problems. Last category is DNF, and I DNF'd one book. I DNF'd Real Easy by Marie Rukowski. I am so bummed about it. I love Marie Rukowski. She's an auto-buy author for me, and like this book is a complete departure from other books that they've wrote in the past. And I decided, you know what, I want to do this one. This author has intimate knowledge of the stuff she's writing about, and I want to go there. So I bought it, I started reading it, I skimmed ahead to see if is it gonna get better, and then it didn't, and I was like, you know, I'm good. So I did not read a lot of this, and I don't mind that I quit reading it. Basic idea here is that this is a dark murder mystery involving serial killer and also hunting for this serial killer and feminism, queer representation, and exotic dancers or people who perform spicy gymnastics, whatever you want to call them. And it's, you know, it's very feminist thinking about how women survive in a world or a setting where men obviously can very easily hurt them. And it explores that a lot, and it's also a serial killer, and it's very dark, and yeah, it's dark. I think that's the best way to describe it. And I think fans of dark murder mystery or like true crime might get really into this and enjoy it quite a bit. Personally, like, I don't like true crime. I've realized this recently. Like, I don't like it. and it was just so dark and depressing, and I'll just be real with you guys, characters you really like aren't gonna make it, and that's kind of obvious because it's about a serial killer. People are gonna get killed in this book, and I was like, but why? Like, I understand why, but like, I don't have to like it, essentially. So this is really more of a it's not you, it's me problem, where I'm reading books because I want to be happy and have a good time. I don't want to be depressed and like read about misery and like serial killers. Like, it just wasn't the vibe I was going for my life. So yeah, I think if you like murder mystery thrillers, you know, that kind of stuff, you might get really into this. Personally, was not feeling it, skimmed ahead, didn't get any better for me. And also, the writing style was a lot different than her other books. It's very staccato, and that's either gonna bother you or you're gonna like it. I don't feel like there's a lot of middle ground on that. It's very distinctive staccato writing style, and it was bothering me as well. So like, I didn't like the writing style, I didn't like the content, and it was just like, do I want to just make myself feel bad while I read this whole book? And the answer was no. So I DNF'd, there you go. I'm really bummed about it. I pre-ordered this and I DNF'd it. So disappointed. All right, so that does it for the first half of March. I've read a lot of really cool stuff. Only one DNF, so not too bad. Overall, a lot of things fell in the, like, it's pretty good range. There was one fantastic and one, like, I DNF'd, so most of it was just kind of like, yeah, I had a good time. It's very mild, I suppose, but, you know, I'll take it. I had a good time reading the books. Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know, what's the last book you DNF'd and why did you do it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!